Hey guys, so I wasn't gonna do a video today, but someone kind of said something that made me think to myself, I should make an update or a video about that. So I want to talk about um, what it means to be transgender, and you know what? I think it's something that does need to be talked about. So a lot of people like to group transgender and sexuality, or really, I should say, group gender and sexuality into one category. And, um, they're two completely different topics. So, uh, the best way for me to describe it um, would be gender is who you go to bed as. So I go to bed as a man. And sexuality is who you go to bed with. I go to bed with my girlfriend, Nicole. So I identify as a straight transgender man. And, I think it's important that people really understand the terminology that they're using, because I've realized a lot of people are misinformed. And I understand because I was too. I think that's why I lived my life as a butch lesbian for so long, because I didn't know what transgender was. So then that actually leads me to the next thing I want to talk about. The next thing I want to talk about is the difference between being transgender and being drag. Um, so, people used to ask me a lot, why'd you have to go and change your sex completely? Why couldn't you just be a butch lesbian? Why did you have to, go to these drastic measures? And, uh, you know, sure, that would have been great. It would have been a lot easier for me to just be that butch lesbian, and I did it for a long time, and I was still very unhappy. I always knew I liked girls. That was, I knew that very early on. But being someone who does drag, they don't live their life as the opposite sex day in and day out. They are comfortable with the sex that they were born with, and they do drag to just kind of it's just a form of expression. You know what I mean? So, and to be transgender, it's totally different, 100%. Being transgender, I mean, I'll just speak off of my personal experience, because I can't speak for everybody. Everybody's different. People, the human race is just so complex that I can't speak for every trans person out there. So with my experience, I was, you know, in my head, in my brain, I always felt like a man. Um, I always wanted to hang out with the guys. I was always stealing my brother's clothes. Um, I always wanted to wear, I hated dresses. I hated skirts, like all that, pink, just anything that made me more feminine than I already was. I didn't want any part of it. Um, and I, uh, I felt just very uncomfortable. Like I wanted to jump out of my skin all the time, all the time. Like I just, and it led to me being suicidal, and it led to me using drugs to numb the pain, and the discomfort within myself. I mean, I'll tell you right now, um, honest to God, I would rather die than ever have to live another day as a female. And I mean that. I would rather die. Um, so it's very different than drag. You really can't compare the two. Um, so with me being uh, transgender, it's I didn't finally feel comfortable within myself until I really started living my life as a man and getting testosterone. Um, I just recently, almost, I can't believe it's almost been like 2 years, but I got chest surgery. And man, that was the one of the best feelings I've ever experienced. I was literally the happiest person on the friggin' planet at that moment. I thought I would die before I got chest surgery. I really did. I didn't think that it would happen. And you know what? I stayed sober, and look what happened. You know, and that's the whole point of all these videos. Is you just stay sober, and it'll happen. It will. Whatever you want, you can't have anything if you're shooting heroin or smoking meth or whatever you do, whatever drug it is you abuse. I mean, it's not just heroin that kills people. I'm focusing more on that only because it's such a big epidemic right now, and such a big problem. And I feel like a lot of people can relate to it. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of touch base on the whole, transgender versus drag, and gender versus sexuality, because man, so many people are misinformed. It's like so. I've had